Hello, hello. Let me just check on and see if I'm in the group okay. Welcome. All right, let me look. Oh, there I am. Yep. All right, welcome to day three of three, Masterclass of Stack the Deck for a Life You Love Masterclass. So this is the third day in a row, and I feel like every day the energy for me has been amping up. And today we're talking about energy, actually. And energy is something that I am well versed in. So before we start, if you jump on live, say hello. I would love to connect with you. If I can't see the comments, I will come back and look later, but I have it open on my phone, so maybe I will. And thank you for watching, whether you watch live or later on. I appreciate you watching. So day one, we talked about stillness in presence, right? In stillness, we connect with our presence. Super powerful, important piece of creating a life that we love, right? You have to be present and kind of notice what's going on first. And then yesterday, we talked about pleasure and true pleasure versus like false aliveness or false pleasure, like really true pleasure. And it's fun because one thing I love about teaching, my guide, I love that, is that the stuff that I'm teaching is like stuff that I love, and when I teach it, it reminds me as well. So it's like the double thing, it's like a double gift for me. So this morning I woke up, and when I got dressed, I was like, I could feel like my goddess was coming out to play. Like I put on my goddessy earrings and even like my kind of crazy goddessy pants, and I'm at home. I'm probably not going out anywhere, but it feels so fun to even just sit here. I did an interview with Galen Apt, the Style Sherpa, last week on my show Light Up Your Life, and she said she had actually talked and did a live video last year on her YouTube channel about people doing lives, so like in their underwear. Like she's like, put on some pants, people. So I have pants, and they're really awesome pants. Even though you can't see them, I feel really good because it's like I'm honoring a part of myself, and that's giving me energy. So if you are watching the replay, hashtag I am energy. Everything is energy. Even the computer you're on or the phone you're on, even though it may not have a pulse or a heartbeat, everything is energy, and it's all connected. We're all affected by everything, right? If you ever looked or anything about feng shui is about like energy placement, movement, or not energy placement, maybe movement, the flow of energy in your home or in your life. And if you have something in your life that may be like an inanimate object, but say you have this picture and it came from somebody, maybe like an ex-person in your life that you no longer have a relationship or don't have a good relationship, or when you look at it, even if you're not conscious, that is holding energy. And of course, that's part of our intention. If someone else got that picture, that thing, they're not going to feel the same way about it because they don't have that connection. So if you don't know me, I'm NancyAnger, intuitive guide and master energy healer. And energy is my jam. So I first, excuse me, since I was in my early 20s, I first started to when I first started realizing, I don't have enough energy right now. How can I get more energy? And at that point, it was like caffeine and exercise and different things. But I started really getting curious about energy in my 20s. And it wasn't until, fast forward to 2009, when I was in school for aesthetics at Spa Tech, that I started learning more and getting more and more curious about energy medicine or energy healing, and really diving in and exploring, which led to energy medicine school and trainings and Reiki and now sound healing and DNA and lots of things. So then I learned a few years ago that I'm a projector in human design. And human design, the projectors are here as guides. I knew I'm a guide. And we're here to help other people manage their energy. And the interesting thing is, projectors don't have necessarily as much, we're non-energy people, so I guess it makes sense that we're going to be on a journey trying to find ways to work with our own energy. So I love to teach about energy. Did I just kick myself off? No. Okay. So I love to teach about energy. And all right, so just let's check in with yourself right now, and what gives you energy? What gives you energy? So there's the question, right? What gives you energy in your life? And then what depletes you? So I'm gonna guess if, what gives you energy, what I've noticed is when things that we really enjoy, that we love to do, that feel good, that feed us on some level, and even if they're things that might be physically or somehow, using energy, like I love fitness, and it may use some energy to do it, but it also gives me energy in a way too, and I may need to rest after, but inner energy. So everything that we are in our life, I remember hearing this analogy years ago from life coach Richard about, I think it was from her, energy cords, if you picture yourself the vacuum cleaners, right? You pull the cord and then the cords retract back in. So picture yourself like everything in your life you're connected to, the people in your life, events, work, things, thoughts, plans for the future, the past, whatever. They're like cords that extend out. And some things give us energy if we're excited about them. And then some things don't, they drain us. So it's where are you giving your energy to? And one thing that's really coming right now is what are you feeding yourself for energy diet, right? We think about, getting enough water and enough good things to drink, or healthy food, but what are you also giving yourself, your eyes? What are the things you're seeing? I mentioned feng shui, right? If you see something, even if you walk in your door and there's a little messy pile, that affects your energy. Or so also being yourself or not being yourself, right? Whenever we are doing something that's not really ourself, that we feel like we have to kind of hide or cover up a part of ourselves, or it's not really aligned or whatever, that affects your energy too. And then when we are doing things, like I said, that either feel good or don't feel good. And one thing that's interesting, I love this little analogy. So imagine that you're sitting there and you're really tired. You're just drained. You have whatever. You're just drained for whatever reason. And suddenly there's a knock on the door, and Ed McMahon is there from the Publishers Clearinghouse with a giant check for you. Tell me, what happens to your energy, right? I know what's going to happen to my energy. Even thinking about it is woohoo. So what does that tell you, right? There's mental exhaustion and physical exhaustion, and they're very different. So I know, myself, I probably tend to get more mentally exhausted at times, or just really need a rest. It's not so much exhaustion, it's just needing a rest, because I've kind of come to understand myself even before I understood what it was exactly, the terms and the deeper thing of what's going on. It's oh, I need a rest. So sometimes we just need a rest, and sometimes it's a mental, for mental, I just like that little timeout. I know that's important to me a lot of times, and I'll notice what's going on. Oh, a little timeout. And I would notice if I didn't take that little bit of thing that I needed for myself, I would actually feel exhausted, just tired the rest of the day. So sometimes it doesn't take that much. And I remember a couple of years ago, an energy healer, coach, teacher, whatever, saying resting is a verb. So let me repeat that. Resting is a verb. To rest is an action. 17. So 40 years on a regular basis, but at different degrees. Sometimes it's hard, more intense things. And I was like, I have to keep it interesting. And so what happened was it was this, like, I'm not feeling like really lifting any weights right now. And I'm just feeling like maybe doing a little bit of yoga and a little bit of Pilates. Well, looks like my video is getting interrupted. A little bit of yoga and Pilates, and just really light stuff. And then a couple months later, all of a sudden there was this challenge that came up. And I had been doing it every year, like this fitness challenge, but suddenly I was ready to really go for it this year. I'm going to just do everything. I'm going to do the workouts. I'm going to follow the eating. I'm not going to indulge in any wine or anything. And I came in like really at the top, maybe 10. It was like for the Oxygen magazine cover. And I was like 55 at the time. And I was like, it was just amazing. And so that rest that I needed, right? And just like as humans, there's cycles of life. If you look at the plant side or nature has times when it's like growing and like, and then times when it needs to restore. And we are the same way. So, and the other thing, we have things sometimes in our life that maybe, we get tired, that we don't really feel like we want to do, like, oh, I have to do this thing. So our language can have a big effect, right? When we say, oh, I have to do this. That's never true. It might feel like it's true, but when you reframe your words, it's more empowering, and you feel differently about it, right? When we say I have to, we kind of feel like there's like this victim-y energy. Well, I have to do this. So, like say the other night, my husband's like, I have to go back to the shop and go, this truck broke down or whatever. And it's like, yes, he felt like he had to. I totally get that. But it was actually, he was choosing to, because those are his values. He had this company that he created, and it was really important to him. So if you notice or catch yourself saying, I have to do this thing, look at it. You may want to reframe or look at it a little bit different. And this is much more empowering. You're still going to do it, but you're doing it because you're choosing it, because you value it. And if that's not why you're doing it, then that's something else to listen to as well. So I really have learned to pay attention, tune in, like what's going on, and notice if something doesn't quite feel right energetically. So I think it was last year, I was sitting in my office that I'm in now, my second floor office, and I have a beautiful view out the window to my back gardens. And I was looking at some weeds, the garden, and I was thinking about the weeds. And looking at the weeds, I was like, ooh, I feel kind of drained. I feel kind of, it doesn't feel good. But I don't feel like weeding. Like when I think about weeding, it feels kind of ew. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm just going to take a step back from this right now. So I knew I wanted the garden weeded. I knew what I wanted. I just wasn't looking. And so if you watched Light Up Your Life, my show on Monday on the Bold Brave TV network, I was talking about some of this stuff. Which is about like, don't just look at what you don't like, look at what's not working, then you take the next step and say, what do I want instead? I knew I wanted to have the garden looking better, but I didn't want to deal with it that day. It was draining. And then 2 days later, so I didn't push myself. So because if you push yourself to do things that you really hate to do, sometimes we got to push ourselves, we have a sick baby, or there's times. So I'm not talking about those times. I'm talking about when it's not critical for us to take action on something. Then we have that time and space to kind of step back a little bit and say, let me think about this. And so a couple days later, all of a sudden I just felt inspired to go out into the garden. And I went out there and I was like, oh, I feel like weeding. I started getting like guidance and messages, and it felt really good and I enjoyed it. So I was out there weeding, but I was enjoying it. It was a completely different experience than if I had gone out 2 days before and just started to do it. So how you do it matters. When I created my yoga and wellness center, I only created it from what felt good for me. It didn't matter if other studios, when it became a center, if other people had receptionists. And I didn't. I don't care. I followed what felt really good for me. And so that's really, and I think I talked about this yesterday, don't know if I did on Tuesday, but a lot of influences in the external world, right? A lot of people I know. I talked about, the plastic surgeon who was really an artist underneath, but his family wanted him to be a doctor or a lawyer, and he became the doctor. But when we're not really honoring ourselves, so, other people, the things that give us energy are different. Like this morning, putting on this outfit that just felt really fun, that gave me energy. But I have one of my daughters, I know darn well that's not her jam. That's not going to be the thing for her. So it's unique to each of us, and it's important and really fun, like energizing. If you like want to have like more energy and just feel, when we're energized, we are magnetic. We are just magnetic. And like when I feel good, I'm not like relying, it doesn't matter what the external is, I don't do it for someone else, I do it for me. But automatically and naturally, you just start to magnetize and attract more of that, more good energy. So if you think about, if there's, two people there and one person is really like, yeah, energized and excited, and the other is just really, Eeyore, who are you going to want to like hang out with? And I'm not saying about like not being ourselves or anything like that. I'm just saying to like notice. It can be like little things. And I notice like the more I get aligned and understand like who I am, like the more energy. If you think of something like, think of the spine, right? If we're not like owning or knowing about parts of ourselves, it's like little parts of the spine are like, it's like out of alignment, or building blocks out of alignment, right? The energy is not going to run through the same. But when we get really more clear of like, oh yeah, this is who I am, this is what I love, this feels really aligned, it's like totally different. And when you realize, like I think it was maybe Monday I said in the Light Up Your Life, like I realized last year, it had been coming for a while, that I'm like, I'd been feeling it on and off for a while, but I got really clear, like, I really don't want to be the person responsible for weeding the gardens anymore. It was fine when my kids were young and I was at home and I had I'm home now, but doing other stuff. It's like, this is what I want to do now. And I want to spend my, time and I say energy, but I want to use my life doing things that feel really good, and I can. And so I did manifest people to weed my yard, but I had to ask for it first. So first you have to get really clear, like, what's giving me energy, what's not, and just let yourself so you have to, sometimes we don't think about it, right? We fill ourselves, do things for, like I want to say like false energy. And one of my clients uses the term of like something, I don't think she says false energy, but can't think of the term, but it's something like that. It's like caffeine or maybe vitamins, or I think maybe there's some kind of medication or whatever it is. You know what I'm talking about? Like things that, and people get energized from drama sometimes, right? anger has a lot of energy. Anger is very energizing. I remember holding down emotions. Emotions are energy. They're meant to move through. And if we block them or hold them down, which I've been definitely an expert at that at many points in my life. Like if your jaw is tight, you're holding down emotions. And what happens too if you understand the chakras a little, even if you don't, your third chakra, like your solar plexus, your will, if you're trying to hold down emotions, you actually literally like try to push down your second chakra. And so when I was in 11, when we were doing some practices, I remember we did a practice in releasing anger. And it's funny, my last name is Anger, not Anger, but it's spelled like anger. Hitting a tennis racket onto a massage table and yelling and like really letting out our anger. And it was tough for me because I was not used to that, right? But after doing that, I was shaky for a little bit. It was so freeing. I had so much energy because I let that I had stuffed down. It was holding my energy. So whenever we are holding something back or and it's not, going out and just, some people do the opposite. Some people use anger as like, it's almost addictive. Like just let's spew anger. It's like a protective shield. So, but the more we are kind of get clear in ourselves and our center and our own energy, the more we're aligned with our own energy. And so yesterday or the day before, maybe, I was out shopping at the stores, and sometimes having like some empathic qualities. I don't know if I'm full empath, but I'm definitely can be sensitive to energy, and sometimes being out in the past has had an effect. And I noticed, I'm like, I'm not really feeling that or noticing that. And the more clear I think you get on yourself and who you are and your intentions in life, the less other people's energy and other stuff affects you, right? It's part of our human journey to be more sovereign. We're not meant to be like everybody else or anybody else. And I remember getting this cool analogy about like energy too. When we are like a little uncertain, when we're not kind of clear on what we're our intentions or that kind of thing, or ourselves, it's like a boat in the ocean, and you're just getting tossed about by the waves or the storms or whatever. But now a picture, if you have a destination, maybe you're going to go to a beautiful island and you're on that boat and you're cruising along, and even if something comes up, a wave or a storm, you're going to deal with it, you're going to weather it, but you're still steady. You're steady on course. So if you're like that empath or that person that's out in the world, but you are more clear of yourself, it's like you're just, you're going to magnetize people that are connected, that are similar energy, and then other things are not going to be so attracted. So it's really, it's really a beautiful thing, a beautiful journey. And so for today, if you have any questions, or I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. What are your experiences around energy? How was your energy today? And I think I started saying earlier, and I don't think I finished the sentence about, noticing what we are plugged into, like, the shows that we're watching, the things we are listening to, the things we are reading. Just notice how it's affecting your energy, and things are going to be different at different times, and it's not about judging anything, right? It's just noticing. Like, I didn't watch TV for several years, and now sometimes I might watch HGTV or something. And then I started watching a Netflix series a couple years ago, Outlander, which I loved the books, and I started watching some of them, and it was pretty good. They were a little bit intense, and now that I stopped, there wasn't any more to watch, and now some are back, and I'm like, I'm not feeling that. And I see and have heard more and more too about people going through shifts, transformations, where spiritually evolving and needing to unplug for a while from things, from people, from things that they maybe used to be plugged into, And so sometimes it might feel a little awkward, but it's worth it. I mean, when you are, and I've felt that times in my life and on a smaller scale, needing to pull back a little bit from things or people, and it's not about them, it's just regrouping your own energy. It's not about anything else, but really managing your own energy. And that's the most important thing we can do. When we manage our own energy, and we can make a different or bigger or better impact in our own life, and then whatever that looks like out into the world. So, and it's so powerful when we just kind of stop doing things that are really not aligned with us and plug into what is. So, that being said, I am super excited about my new course. It's actually I've taught this course a few times, but this is kind of like a revamped, and it's called Alive, 8 weeks to live, 8 weeks to finally live the life you've imagined. So if you have been on a journey for a while and you're at this place, this tipping point, sometimes it's like, all right, there's more here. There's something underneath. There's this nudgy, there's discontent, or there's this something, and I know there's more, and I want to know how to live life to the fullest. So a lot of people are not unconscious of, or not conscious or unconscious, whatever, of what is operating underneath in the background that's affecting our energy is a huge influence. And that's really like tools, your superpowers underneath, and they're right there. It's just people don't always know how to see them and uncover them. So that's what I'm going to be teaching you in the course. And then once you know, things finally start to make sense. Maybe things that you didn't maybe know or knew were a little off. You might feel more complete, or like the things like the block that things are a little off tower and suddenly things line up, right? You'll see yourself and others in a new way, and it gets really clear what lights you up and why. Why does it light you up, right? Because when we know the why, that's huge, because then we know where it's coming from, like what is underneath. Like it was like manifestation, right? Sometimes when I manifest a lot, and then sometimes I wouldn't, and I was like, I couldn't figure out like what was underneath that. Like, why does this work sometimes and not others? So also your natural gifts, like once you know, like when I got really clear, oh yeah, I'm a guide. Like I always knew I was a teacher, but when it got really clear, I was like, oh, it just kind of lands. It's like your personal, your unique voice and vision become more activated, and just life feels more fulfilling. So there's nobody like you that's ever been born and is never going to be here. No one like you will ever be here again. So the course starts October 7th, and right now is awesome early bird price till I think October 1st or September 30th, and it's either pay in full or there's a payment plan. And then I have a really awesome bonus calling back to you, all of you, activation. So I will drop the link in the comments. In the meantime, for your homework, because when we learn things, we learn them best when we actually start to implement them. So did I say what the homework is? All right, so the homework is this. Notice your energy today. In going forward, like what is giving you energy, either doing it or thinking about it, right? Sometimes just thinking about it. Like, do you ever have somebody talk about, oh, I'm gonna do all these things, and you're exhausted just listening to it? And of course you're exhausting yourself, right? It's like, oh, I gotta do this. So if you find something like that, right, for yourself, this is like, I gotta do. So there's a couple things you can do. One, just go do it. We put off things because we are like afraid, it feels big, whatever. If it's maybe cleaning and maybe you don't have time to do that's one awesome trick I learned from one of my feng shui teachers years back. Set a timer for 9 minutes. You can find 9 minutes, right? Think about nines. You can find 9 minutes, set the timer, and go do it for 9 minutes. Maybe you'll feel like doing it longer, but sometimes the things we're avoiding are the things that it's most important for us to do. So otherwise it's just hanging there, affecting your energy. And then there's obvious things, right? Rest, water. I hear sometimes from people like, oh, I went on vacation and I was so tired, or I got sick, or whatever. It's like they stopped finally enough to pay attention. And sometimes when you pay attention, your body's going to say you really need to rest. And it's important. You never know what's coming in a good way. And I say that, like I said about the fitness challenge, like I did a little more resting. And then my body was like, yeah, it was ready. It was so awesome. So, yeah. Well, thanks for watching, and reach out if you have any questions. I will drop the course link in the comments. And have an awesome Friday and awesome weekend. And I hope to see you soon. Hope to see you.